You're watching West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Anna Schleisman and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Notre Dame was a cultural and religious achievement.
Bells tolling, tributes spoken, and hearts breaking as the world still reels from the shock of the fire at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. After 9 hours of fighting, the flames finally extinguished. The focus now, what caused the blaze, and can the masterpiece be restored?
Frankly, it's a question whether we still have the skills to be able to restore a place like Notre Dame. Will be, of course, deeply, very costly, but also it might be impossible.
Mary Maloney has more from Paris.
Haunting new images show the scale of damage inside the Notre Dame Cathedral. Monday's fire sent shockwaves around Paris and around the world.
I went to see it with my own eyes. I just couldn't believe it.
The central spire and a majority of the 13th century wooden roof were largely destroyed. There are some reasons to be thankful.
Honestly, I must say, it looks better than I thought. The firemen did their work very good.
Much of the beloved cathedral's interior is still intact, and its most precious relics saved, including the crown of thorns, which some believe was placed on the head of Jesus during the crucifixion. The focus now turning to the fire's cause. The Paris prosecutor says while an investigation continues, it was likely accidental. French President Emmanuel Macron pledging to rebuild as hundreds of millions of dollars have already been donated.
There's a great deal to be rebuilt, and we will make the Cathedral of Notre Dame even more beautiful. We can do this.
President Trump spoke with Macron over the phone Tuesday morning, offering condolences. Across the world, there are signs and sounds of solidarity. St. Patrick's Cathedral, New York City, ringing its bells at 12:50 p.m. Eastern, marking 24 hours since the fire started. I'm Mary Maloney reporting.
Well, Bishop David Kagan of the Bismarck Catholic Diocese says he was shocked when he first saw the video of the fire at Notre Dame, a historic site he's seen twice. He says he was moved when the massive crowd that assembled began singing Ave Maria as firefighters fought to preserve the 850-year-old church.
Who better to seek protection of Notre Dame than the Blessed Mother, for whom the basilica or the cathedral is named?
And as we've heard, the fire did not damage some of the most important contents of the cathedral, like the Blessed Sacrament and the relic of the Crown of Thorns. Well, looking forward now, Henry, it looks like we'll have a mix of sun and clouds this week.
Yeah, this week definitely, but for tomorrow we'll definitely be having a mix of clouds and rain. In fact, right now showers on our first warn Sky Tracker Doppler radar, especially across central and southern North Dakota and South Dakota. Much of that around the Williston area, not reaching the ground yet. The atmosphere is still a little too dry, a mile or so up, but eventually your rain shower chances along Highway 2 will be increasing tonight. Temperature-wise, currently we are in the lower 40s across the southwest. That's where the precipitation started earlier, but elsewhere we are in the low 50s. The wind remains out of the east, 5 to 15 on average, a little bit of a breeze across the far southwest. And as we start our morning commute, just have the rain gear handy. Be prepared for rain showers region-wide, and temperatures actually starting out near 40 degrees. Your complete forecast coming up later on.
Thanks, Henry. Well, Bismarck residents have noticed a spike in their water bills, and some have taken to Facebook to express their displeasure. But Public Works has been doing their best to inform the community about why the rates are rising. Michelle Closey, Director of Utility Operations, says the city has been using more water than it needs to, and treating and holding water in the plant is expensive.
We're trying to make sure that we actually have the supply needed for the summer for peak water season. So when everybody is watering, filling the swimming pools, that there is water supply available in our water tanks. We have not had a good situation the last couple of years in June. We actually have had shortages in the northwest part of our town.
You can track your water usage on the Bismarck Public Works website and learn more or voice your opinion at city meetings. There's only 12 days left in the 2019 legislative session, and education is set to see some major changes. The governor already signed a bill allowing school districts to decide if they want an armed first responder on campus. State Superintendent Kirsten Baszler says she's also very excited about the cybersecurity credentialing for teachers and updating the bullying statute. One she's still waiting for, the possibility of 4-day school weeks.
I think it's going to provide some opportunity of flexibility, some opportunity for our school districts to do their professional development learning with our teachers differently, and hopefully provide some flexibility for our students to learn differently.
5 districts already operate on a 4-day week, and more have sent in applications. Lawmakers are looking to pay schools based on the current number of students. So if a school has 400 kids one year and increases to 500 the next, right now they're paid for 400. Under the new proposal, starting in the year 2020-2021 school year, they'll be paid for half the increase, meaning 450 students using the previous example. That will work its way up in a few more years to the full increase. Let's say a district starts at 400 and goes down to 375. Well, for 1 year, they'll be paid at 400. The bill is expected to be completed soon. And senators are still opposed to tapping funds from the state's voter-approved oil tax savings account to help offset income taxes. Supporters in the House say the relief would spur the economy and increase the state's competitiveness. But senators say there's little, if any, support in their chamber. It's in the tax department's budget undergoing conference committee negotiations right now. And legislators are considering a measure outlining North Dakota's response if the federal government designated areas as dumping sites for nuclear waste. Senators passed legislation prohibiting this, but sets the regulatory framework to do so if necessary. The bill comes after the U.S. Department of Energy wanted to drill an exploratory borehole for nuclear waste near Rugby in 2016. It still needs approval in the House. Well, the heartbreaking story of a 4-year-old girl who was raped and her 13-year-old attacker only sentenced to probation and therapy inspired a House bill called Natalie's Law. It would change penalties for juvenile offenders, provide more access to rehabilitation, and give families access to medical records, forensic interviews, and police reports. After a few minor changes, representatives unanimously voted to send Natalie's Law to the governor's desk. And the House voted to allow cancer patients to buy up to 6 ounces of medical marijuana during a 30-day period. It now goes to the Senate. Other bills increasing the amounts of conditions that qualify and expanding access to veterans are awaiting votes. All of the medical marijuana bills need a 2/3 vote to pass because they're amending a ballot measure. The voter ID requirements in the 2018 midterms caused problems for voters on reservations, and now the issue is on the national stage. A U.S. House subcommittee hearing was held in Standing Rock this morning to hear about ongoing voter suppression and discrimination. Some representatives said they're excited to help, while others said it seems there was a bigger turnout of tribal voters than ever before. But that's because they took matters into their own hands, and they're thinking they might have to do that again.
We don't have time to wait for any laws to be enacted for us. We're on the move to create a task force.
They want better polling accessibility, in-person voter registration, and funds for early voter locations. An illness among cattle is raising concerns in North Dakota. Coccidiosis is a disease that becomes more prevalent in livestock after long winters and during times of high animal stress. The NDSU Extension Service says farmers should take preventative measures since it can be difficult to treat and can affect an animal for life. One of the risks mentioned is that it usually brings secondary infections with it.
This year's been tough because we've had snow everywhere, and so it's been challenging to get cattle out when they're calving. And so the prevention tips are to maintain good biosecurity and cleanliness in your calving areas and where you have cattle.
Peterson says anyone with questions should contact their vet or extension agent. And Bismarck farmer and rancher Gabe Brown is working with General Mills to implement regenerative agriculture into future food production. And they put him on the Wheaties box. While it won't be mass-produced, he told Megan Hoffman, it's still a cool memento.
On a farm northeast of Bismarck, Gabe Brown and his family proudly showcase how they've changed their way of both farming and ranching.
We had 4 natural disasters in a row, and I tell people, although those were hard to live through, They were absolutely the best thing that could have happened to us.
Brown says after losing all or most of his crop in the mid-90s, the family changed to a regenerative way of farming.
They forced us to look at how nature functions and how ecosystems function and how to work with nature instead of against her.
Since then, he says their operations have become profitable every single year. Now Brown travels around North America speaking about his practices. He's also partnered with others to create the Soil Health Academy. It's how General Mills and their sustainability group got in touch with Brown. He says they believe this is the future of production agriculture, and it's why they put him on a Wheaties box.
I think it goes to a testament to show that there's a real change in agriculture coming, and that change is towards regenerative agriculture.
Brown says it's humbling and a salute to all who are going down the regenerative path. In Bismarck, I'm Megan Hoffman for your news leader.
Well, the snowstorm may have set farmers back, but only by a day. The Agriculture Department now expects most farmers to get back in the field on April 28th. Soil moisture supplies are decent. Topsoil moisture statewide rated 93% adequate to surplus, and subsoil moisture 83%. The winter wheat crop and cattle and calf conditions are both rated 90% fair to good. Hay and stock water supplies are both rated mostly adequate. And as the border battle rages, Fisher Industries in Dickinson submitted a nearly $3.3 billion proposal to build the barrier on the U.S.-Mexico border. It includes 218 miles of a steel fence, plus technology and roadways for Border Patrol, all guaranteed by June of 2020. Today, they gave a live demonstration in Arizona for border officials and U.S. legislators.
A lot of people say, well, yeah, but we think technology is a better decision, or we think more processing centers at the border is better, or more boots on the ground, are better. And I say, yes, they're all better, but all of them work better when they're all working together. And I think that's the value that Fisher has brought.
Kramer says it's time to put bureaucracy aside and hire a vertically integrated company. Well, coming up, some Mandan middle schoolers got a lesson that was out of this world.
And we're looking at rain showers across the Bismarck-Mandan area. Otherwise, we will be having cloudy conditions for tomorrow. Your forecast is next.
Solve real-world problems, in particular in the area of science.
Students at Mandan Middle School learned what it's like to work for NASA. Jeremy Jacobs went to school in Bismarck and is now a NASA engineer in Houston. He says his job is basically to break things in order to make sure they're strong enough to hold up in space.
I learned that they can break things and make new things, and they can launch rockets and send them to the moon or Mars.
Students got to see pictures of the new spacesuit that NASA and Jacobs are working on as well. Well, after 19 years and more than 120,000 miles, the Burleigh County Bookmobile is getting traded in for a newer model. The Bismarck Library kicked off a fundraising campaign to pay for it, and John Salling schools us on the details.
Here's up at the top, right here.
Reese Neva and her classmates love to get a visit from the Bookmobile 2 times a month.
I like to share it with my family. About the puppy on this one, and then like how messy he got.
This vehicle has given thousands of hours of service, bringing books, movies, and more to thousands of county residents over the last 2 decades. But now it's time for a new one.
What? We're bringing it to the shop Monday to get a radiator fixed, a crack in our radiator. It's just wear and tear on a 20-year-old vehicle. So in order to keep traveling and making these services available, we're going to have to get a new vehicle.
A new vehicle will hopefully last another 20 years to keep bringing books to the kindergartners at Apple Creek School.
I really like how they let us pick 2 books instead of 1.
It's going to cost more than $300,000 to replace the Bookmobile. They have $120,000 to go. In Burleigh County, I'm John Salling for your news leader.
Well, an amended bill to help fund the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library in Medora is heading to the Senate. Now, instead of using legacy fund earnings, Dickinson Senator Rich Wardner is proposing a much lower price coupled with a loan from the Bank of North Dakota. Wardner believes he has the Senate votes and the House is working on their members. This vote will finally settle where legislators stand.
We are working with the House. They want an up or down vote. We tried other ways of doing it, but this works the best, putting it on a bill, a standalone bill.
Legislators' concerns range from the funding to the timing of the project. And the Mouse River Enhanced Flood Protection Plan got one step closer to authorization for its next phase. Phases 1 through 3 are already under construction, but there are still 5 more to fund. Minot, state, and federal leaders met with Senator John Hoeven and the chief of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to brainstorm ways to fund the entire plan.
But the key thing is this is a system. The senator made a great point today. Don't go in and try to fix one piece of it. You got to go through what's really the 8 phases.
Senator Hoeven says they also need to coordinate with FEMA and secure the flood insurance piece. The final step will come when Congress passes the next WRDA bill, most likely in 2020, to decide how and when to fund the project. Well, we will be getting some moisture this week, so what does that do for our flood risks here, Henry?
Yeah, no, not really affecting the flood risk here, but we are getting some light rain showers that will continue into your Wednesday across much of the region. Minot, you are dry for now. Across the north, your rain chances will be on the increase overnight. Williston, dry, but increasing rain chances, especially after midnight, but it is raining and has been across the Bismarck, Mandan area. Much of southern and central North Dakota have been getting showers. Dickinson, been raining for quite some time. Still some showers in the Queen City as well, and that is expected to continue. First warn Sky Tracker Doppler radar, it's all around. What you're seeing across northeastern Montana into the Williston area, much of that not reaching around the atmosphere a few miles up. Is still rather dry. But we are possibly getting some showers just in northern Richland County. Well, and that will be continuing to push to the north and east. Also, we have a batch over Perkins County that will continue to push its way into extreme south central North Dakota, giving you some moderate rain. As far as for the month of April, yes, moisture, we've had anywhere from as little as 300ths of an inch of moisture in the Jamestown area, as much as 2,600 in the Dickinson area. We're still a little bit below normal, but at least we're getting a little bit of moisture as we speak. But as far as for the year, Bismarck, you're above 0.6 of an inch. Elsewhere, we're still somewhat abnormally dry. But as far as the moisture chances for the forecast over the next 24 hours, the best chances of accumulation will be across the central region. Highs for today, quite mild. Low to mid-60s. Bismarck topped out at 67. Region-wide, we were in the 60s, but now we're down into the 40s and 50s thanks to the precipitation and the cloud cover. The wind, not bad out of the east, 5 to 15 miles per hour. Moisture chances are going to be on the increase across the north tonight and region-wide. Some of you may get a little bit of a break during the first half of the morning, but I think those rain chances are still going to be around and kind of hit and miss, a little more isolated in nature as we get into, let's say, the mid to late afternoon hours. And temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler as well. So anywhere between 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of moisture possible next few days across the central region. Elsewhere, less than that. So temperature-wise, by lunchtime tomorrow, only in the upper 40s and lower 50s, and 50s are technically where our highs are going to be for tomorrow. So, but for tonight, southeast wind 5 to 10, morning lows near 40 degrees, 50s likely for tomorrow, maybe a couple of 60s across the far northwest, but those rain chances will continue for tomorrow. Slight chance of showers and maybe a thunderstorm possible on Thursday, but for now, your Easter weekend is looking pretty decent.
Sounds good, Henry. Well, almost 20 years ago, their school was rocked by mass shooting, and the threat of another shook them again today. Details when we come back.
Boeing told the world this plane is safe to fly, and Boeing allowed me, my family, your family, our friends, our co-workers around the world to continue to fly on a dangerous plane that it knew was dangerous in order to put profit over safety.
Another lawsuit emerges after the fatal Ethiopian Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8 crash. Preliminary data points to a system malfunction, and a Kenyan family wants to force Boeing to release documents and emails relating to that model. The sister of victim, George Cabot, says he cannot be replaced, but maybe his story can help.
We pray that by what is happening, my parents especially, and us as his siblings and all other loved ones, can use his demise to ensure safe travel for all.
The FAA announced today that the 737 MAX software is now operationally suitable after changes were made. Well, Columbine High School in Colorado that lost 12 students and 1 teacher in a mass shooting in 1999 was shut down today for another credible threat, 4 days shy of the tragedy's anniversary. But it was not directed at any one school, so 20 area schools also shut down. The FBI is looking for 18-year-old Sol Pais in connection with the threats. And today was also the 12th anniversary of the mass shooting at Virginia Tech, when a single shooter, a student, opened fire on campus, killing 32 people before turning the gun on himself. A vigil and blood drive were held on campus to remember the lives lost. Flags were also ordered to fly at half-staff. Well, heart transplant waiting lists may be getting shorter. The potentially major medical breakthrough next. A heart using a patient's own cells has been 3D printed by Israeli researchers. They say it's about the size of a rabbit's heart, but the technology could be used to create a human-sized heart. Now, many die while awaiting transplants for end-stage heart failure, so this could affect and save the lives of thousands each year. It's a pretty good product there, Henry.
Yeah, most definitely. And those rain showers we got right now increasing for tomorrow. As we wake up in the morning, yes, it will likely be raining. Highs are going to be a few degrees cooler than they were today, only in the 50s, but 70s will be making their way in the forecast for your Easter weekend.
Well, that's something to look forward to. Thanks so much. Have a good night.